Spooky action at a distance. What was Einstein referring to when he said this? So, as some of you will know, I am an energy healer, or I prefer to say an energy mover, actually. And you'll need to go back and watch some of my last videos to get a little bit more information if you're new on what I do. But yes, somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago, actually. I said, oh, I need to go now. I'm going to do a healing session. And they said, oh, you know, where are you meeting this person? And I said, oh, I'm just doing it from home. Oh, are they coming to you? No. And they said, where's the person? So I said where the person was. And the person, my client, was quite far away from me. And the person I was with said, what do you mean? How can you do a healing session on someone when they're not even in the same room? And I wish that I had had this quote in that moment. I did go and explain it my way, but you know, when you throw Einstein in the mix, it gives it a lot more credibility, doesn't it? So, spooky action at a distance. I'm gonna read this directly. I want to make sure I quote you correctly, sir. An object can be moved, changed, or otherwise affected without being physically touched by another object. Isn't that fascinating? And I love that he says moved. It can be moved or changed. Yeah. So this is going a step beyond telepathy. I did do a post a while back on telepathy. And you know, that is a fascinating thing in and of itself. So I have, you can have a look on my website. I do touch on that. But you know, telepathy is something that, and I'll talk about Nikola Tesla again, because I did have some nice feedback on that one today. Nice to see that there are some Tesla fans out there. So yes, Nikola Tesla, he was actually a bit of a skeptic regarding telepathy. And what happened was, when he was in London, he had a vision. Now, he had a history of visions. You know, he envisioned the first hydroelectric plant, which he was responsible for at Niagara Falls. He envisioned that even as a kid, yeah? He saw a wheel there at Niagara Falls. So, you know, he had a history of visions, but he'd never had telepathy before. What happened was, he had a vision one night of a cloud, and some angelic beings emerged from this cloud, and one of those beings turned into his mother. And he wrote that he knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that his mother had died, and he was right. And so it was after that he started to believe in telepathy. And what he said was that the conclusion he came to was that he and his mother were attuned to the same frequency. Now that's very interesting because I've had a similar experience. I also, I knew when my brother passed away. I did. No way I could have known. I knew. And look, it doesn't even, it's not necessarily confined to just humans. You know, when I lived in Amsterdam, so I lived with a lovely Australian girl. So she actually, you know, had moved to Amsterdam. She owned a house there. And I lived with her, and she had 3 cats. And one of those cats, an absolutely gorgeous Turkish Angora, he was just like an emperor. But he was very aloof, even with her. Just he was just that way. And for whatever reason, he and we just connected, and it was so beautiful. I mean, I didn't take his emperor act seriously, and I would just gaze at him and get lost in his eyes, and he would gaze at me. And you know, we often talked about potentially maybe him going with me because we did develop such a bond. I actually would have to stand away from the staircase, from the railing, because he had this thing where he'd just randomly just jump at me from behind and put his arms around me. Arms, yeah, okay, legs. Yeah, we had a very special bond. And he went missing at one point. And, you know, I'd put posters everywhere, all over the neighborhood. I did the door knocking thing. And weeks passed by, and then one night I dreamt that he was right outside my room. So my room was street level, as was hers, but you know, I dreamt he was right outside my room. And I woke up and I thought, I better go out and check, you know, just in case. So I went outside, and sure enough, there he was right outside my room, and he wasn't making a sound. He was so emaciated, I don't even think he had the energy to make sounds, but there he was, you know, so he telepathically let me know that he was there. Yes, it's interesting too when I talk to a friend of mine who is an atheist and just very close-minded about all these things, and I always get the answer, oh yes, people, we do connect to archetypes somehow. Okay, yeah, so it's I mean that's telepathy. So I mean telepathy is a very fascinating thing, and yes, I do believe it's going to be stronger, potentially even only possible when two people are attuned to the same frequency. So I'd agree with Tesla. But this is going even beyond that now. This is talking about affecting the state of something. So I'm changing my title, by the way. And if you do want if you do want a little bit of spooky action at a distance, please feel free to contact me, because it really doesn't matter where you are. But I wanted to just briefly touch on manifestation. So Einstein was referring to manifestation when he said that, okay? And that is, I mean, you do need to change things around you at a physical level in order to manifest them. So you do need to affect change, but for things to crystallize. So what he said was, I have an abridged version of his quote here, but it's, everything is energy. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you can't help but get that reality. This is not philosophy, this is physics. So what I want to say about that is, because there are a lot of people who talk about the power of manifestation and the law of attraction, and they will often say that it's, you have to believe that you're worthy. Yeah, so you can come from that angle. The human angle is you have to believe you're worthy, and that's true. And then they'll say you need to visualize it, really, really visualize it, be crystal clear. And that is true. That's another level of it. And then some will say you also have to feel it as though it's happened. Feel it as though it's happened. And that is true, yeah? All these things you do need to do in order to align with what it is that you want. But there's something that people don't often talk about. And so that's what the little bit, the missing piece that I want to talk about. I genuinely believe that you need to also feel an emotional investment in what it is that you want to manifest, yeah? And you have to feel it. It's, when they say imagine it as though it already happened, you should have a feeling associated with that. And that feeling, if it's strong enough, the universe will know. You can't fake it. So sometimes we try to manifest things that we really think we want, and the universe knows better. Yeah, you can't fool them. You might be able to fool yourself, but you can't fool them. And I'm going to give you just briefly an example. So I did say to you that there was something that I have been called to release. I have been doing my heart chakra meditations as well. I hope you have been, for those who've been with me for a while. Yes, I was convinced that I wanted to be a screenplay writer. And I had that conviction for quite a few years, quite a number of years. I've even written 3 screenplays. I'm now working on a pilot TV script. And, much to the dismay of my co-writer, who I had to let down gently last night, I've realized that it's just, the reason it hasn't manifested is because the reality of it is, it was never what my soul wanted. I wanted it up here, yeah? Because so many people would say, you're such a good writer, you should write. Since I was little, people would say that to me. And, I did used to enjoy watching movies. I did used to enjoy watching TV. But the reality of it is that I've got a sinking feeling in my heart now because I know he's going to watch this. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he was sort of trying to say, I don't think you mean that. I don't think you mean that. But I do, though. I'm so sorry. It's not what my heart actually wants. And so I can write, I can put in 10,000 hours of writing. I could take all the steps required to make it work, but the reality of it is, it's not in here. So, yeah, that's just my example, okay? And another interesting thing I also wanted to say was that there was one time that I was asked to do a healing. And it was the one and only time that it didn't work. Now, interestingly, the person that asked kind of put me in a position where I didn't feel like I could say no. I won't elaborate. It's also somebody that I feel quite disconnected from. I'll just put it like that. And so it was something that I didn't want to do. And it's interesting that I did do it and I did try it, but it didn't work. Okay, so the universe knew better. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's all I want to say about that. Yeah, just, and if you're not sure whether you genuinely want something or not, give it some time. Yeah, give it some time and do the heart meditation, do the heart chakra meditation, the one that I spoke about a few readings ago. Yeah. I wish you a beautiful day, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.